Chapter 221. Are you sure you have a relationship? As she was feeling depressed, her phone rang. She took out her phone and saw that it was actually Nick Anderson. She stood up and said to the two of them, "You two continue chatting. I'll go out and answer the phone." She walked out of the room and picked up her phone. "Bro. Laura, where are you?" "I'm here, outside. I was wondering when I rang your bell at Big City Home. No one opened the door." "You're back." "Yes, I just came back yesterday. I dealt with the matter at the company and came to find you." Nick Anderson turned and prepared to go downstairs. "Where are you? I'll go get you." "It's fine, bro. Go get busy. You don't have to look at me." "This won't do. If I don't look at you now, I won't be able to rest at ease." After some thoughts, she decided to say, "I'm at the Front Mountain Shopping Mall." Nick Anderson nodded his head. "Okay. Wait for me there. This place is a little far from the Front Mountains. I might need 20 minutes to reach there. I'll try my best to get there. There's no need to rush. Just take your time and come over." Hanging up, she returned to her room. The two men were still talking. She walked back to pick up her bag and said to William Walton, "William Walton, talk to Battalion Commander Carter first. I've made an appointment with someone. I want to go out." "Male or female?" William Walton turned and looked at her. She pursed her lips gently. "My brother." William Walton was unhappy. Didn't he go on a business trip? He's back. It looked like he hadn't been bothered enough to think that he would be back in less than 2 months. Saying that, he turned to Derek and said, "Battalion Commander Carter, it's my pleasure to meet you today. You two can chat first. I'll be leaving first." Without waiting for Derek to say anything, William Walton stood up and said, "I'll send you there." "No need. It is very close. It's at the Front Mountain Shopping Mall." "I insist," William Walton said to Derek. "Drink by yourself first," Derek shrugged. "Go ahead. There's no need to rush back." She didn't feel that was good. After all, he had only returned once in a very long time. Since William Walton insisted, she did not say much. The two of them left the clubhouse together. William Walton drove Laura to the Front Mountain Market entrance that was only 3 kilometers away from the clubhouse. After the car stopped, he looked around but did not see Nick Anderson. "Where is he?" "He's driving here from Big City Home. He's farther away than me." As she spoke, she had already unbuckled her seatbelt and was about to get out of the car. He pulled her along with a look of displeasure on his face. "Do you have to see him?" She looked at him. "Is there any problem?" "You know I hate him." She shrugged. "But he's my brother. He's the only one in the Anderson family who helped me when I was bullied." Although she said that for some reason, every time he saw Laura Green's expression on Nick Anderson's face, he would feel goosebumps all over his body. Perhaps it was a matter of course that her brother doted on her. However, he had seen Nick Anderson and Betty Anderson on the same stage, and the care Nick Anderson had for Betty Anderson was like that of a brother and sister. But to her, he frowned. Was he thinking too much? "I'll wait for you at the clubhouse. Call me when you go back. I'll pick you up." "Perhaps this brother will send me back." She pursed her lips. "Have a good reminiscence with Battalion Commander Carter. Haven't you not met in a long time?" She opened the door and got out of the car. "Hurry and go. Don't let Battalion Commander Carter wait." Seeing her close the door and walk into the distance, William Walton started the car and turned his head. When he drove back to the front of the shopping mall, he hit the brakes and turned his head to look at Laura Green, that was standing at the entrance of the shopping mall. For 3 or 4 minutes, she stood at the entrance of the mall. After looking around for a moment, she turned around and walked into the shopping mall. William Walton waited for a few minutes. Seeing that she had not come out and was preparing to leave first, she came out with a candied fruit in her hand. She ate leisurely as she sat on the stone railing of the parking lot at the entrance of the shopping mall. This was the first time he had ever known that the cylindrical stone fence could seat a person. She took a bite, and the second hawthorn fell to the ground. She stared at the hawthorn on the ground for 2 seconds, her face full of regret. After a while, she stood up, stomped her feet, and picked up the hawthorn. She unsteadily walked to the trash can a dozen meters away, threw the hawthorn in it, and walked back in. Seeing her charming appearance, William Walton, who was in the car, couldn't help but laugh. She was cute, though. After another 10 minutes, Nick Anderson jogged from the right side of the car park and ran towards Laura. At that time, she was busy looking through her phone. She completely did not notice Nick Anderson's arrival. When she saw the figure in front of her and wanted to raise her head, Nick Anderson had already bent over and hugged her tightly. Seeing this, William Walton was so angry that the roots of his teeth were itching. In his eyes, Nick Anderson was not a human being who would hug and cuddle with his family. Seeing how serious he was in front of John Anderson, and looking at how cold he was in front of Betty Anderson, and thinking again about his passion, William Walton unhappily took out his phone and made a call. She was carried by Nick Anderson until she was stupefied. She stood up and patted his arm. "Brother, you're going to strangle me. It's been so many days since we've last met. Laura, I really miss you." At that moment, Laura Green's phone rang. "I'm on the phone." Only then did Nick Anderson let her go. Laura took out her phone from her bag. Seeing that it was William Walton, she looked at him. Nick Anderson was also looking at her phone. Fortunately, his name was a bit special. Only she knew who that was. She turned around and walked away for 3 or 4 steps. Then she picked up the phone and said, "Hello. I forgot to tell you, don't hug with him. There are cameras in the mall. If I know he took advantage of you so that you won't see him alone in the future. Do you hear me?" She frowned and looked at the direction of the security monitor in front of the shopping mall's entrance. She frowned and whispered, "Aren't you free now?" "I'm just free, because that is Nick Anderson." She pursed her lips. Even if it was another man, he wouldn't be able to feel at ease. "What a suspicious man," she said in a low voice. "It's fine if it's others, but Nick Anderson is my big brother after all." "Do you know where that word came from?" "It came from the family." "Your mind is too dirty. I don't have that kind of thought." "If you don't want to, then I'll go back and pick you up now." "I'm afraid of you. I'll listen to you, okay?" When she thought about how the 2 men would be at loggerheads if he came back, she couldn't help but shiver. She didn't want to see such a scene again. After hanging up, she went back to Nick Anderson's side and smiled at him. Nick Anderson looked at her for a moment and asked hesitantly, "Is that William Walton?" She did not want to lie to him. After all, William Walton was not someone who would be embarrassed. "Yes. Did he need you for something?" She pursed her lips and said, "It's nothing. Just give me a call." "You all? Are you sure about the relationship?" Chapter 222. "No one loves you more than I do." Her face slightly flushed as she shook her head. "Not yet." "Yet? You're going to, with him?" She pursed her lips and thought for a while before replying, "I feel that he's a very reliable man." "Laura, you can't judge a person by their appearance. A man can pretend to be 3 months or 5 months in front of you, but he can't pretend to be forever. The essence of William Walton is not the same as yours. You are too kind, too trusting of others. William Walton knows how to scheme. He knew exactly what kind of person you are, which is why he was able to see through you so accurately," she said. "Brother, I'm already an adult. I have the ability to distinguish between good and bad. But you must know, in terms of relationships, girls can easily make mistakes. As your elder brother, I really can't let you go the wrong way. How are you so sure that William Walton didn't use you because he hated the Anderson family and knew that you were from the Anderson family? Laura, anyone in Anderson family can be injured, but you can't. You didn't do anything wrong, and I can't just watch as you get hurt. Do you understand?" Hearing Nick Anderson's words, gratitude filled her heart. But other than that, there were some things she felt helpless about right now. Once emotions were invested, how could it be so easy to withdraw? This was why she didn't dare to allow her heart to approach William Walton in the past. She was not afraid that William Walton would use her to deal with the Anderson family. After all, the life and death of the Anderson family had nothing to do with her. However, she was afraid that she'd be sincere, but he just played around. After all, she couldn't afford to play. Being together for so long, she truly felt that it was possible to change one's heart. William Walton was good to her, and she was slowly moved by him. Now she was trying to give out her love. Although she could not say it, she was really unable to leave William Walton. However, before William Walton could do anything that would hurt her, she might really be unable to only listen to one side of the story and give up on this emotion that was about to sprout. After all, she believed from the bottom of her heart that William Walton wouldn't hurt her. Seeing her dazzled, Nick Anderson held her shoulders with both hands. "Laura, don't tell me you think I will harm you." "Brother, I don't think so. I just feel that this is a matter of my own feelings. I can solve it myself. This is related to the Anderson family and the Walton family." She pursed her lips. "But didn't you all wholeheartedly want to give Betty Anderson to William Walton?" "You are different from Betty Anderson." "I know, we are different. Betty Anderson is the young miss of your Anderson family. What about me? I am nothing." "Laura, you know, that's not what I mean. Betty Anderson has been pampered since she was young, and her personality has decided that if she marries William Walton, in the future, when William Walton goes out and spends all his time drinking together, she won't mind too much. After all, this is something that often happens in the circles she lives in. Moreover, I don't agree with Betty Anderson marrying William Walton. But you are different. Once William Walton betrays you, the attack that will hit you will definitely be fatal. Could it be that you... Aren't you afraid of being hurt?" "You don't have to be afraid. I'm afraid, my precious little sister. How can she be hurt by the Walton family?" She frowned, not knowing what to say. "Laura, I am truly doing this for your own good. In this world, I believe that there is no one loves you more than me, other than your mother who has already left. Promise me that you won't easily agree to his courtship. Even if you have already decided to date him, you should carefully consider it over and don't easily agree to it, okay?" After a moment of silence, Laura nodded. There were some things she couldn't explain to her brother. It was said that most brothers felt that no man was worthy of their sister. This was normal. Then she would just agree to him first. In any case, agreeing or not was one thing. Whether she could control herself or not was another. Seeing her nod, Nick Anderson heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. However, he also knew in his heart that there were some things that he had to decide as soon as possible. After all, He couldn't wait any longer for this matter to happen. William Walton, who had returned to the clubhouse, felt a bit depressed the moment he entered the room. Seeing his expression, Derek Carter could not help but ask, "What's wrong? Have you gotten into an awkward situation with your little beauty?" William Walton rolled his eyes at him. "Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? I heard that a man in love, no matter how old, is no different from a 3-year-old. William Walton pushed the wine cup in front of him and casually poured a cup of wine as he asked, "It's only a few kilometers away. Why did you take so long to go there?" William Walton smirked. "She's not that stupid." "Why is that? For what? Brat, you still want to act in front of me? You have 'I'm not happy' written on your face." William Walton looked at him in displeasure as he raised her cup of wine. "Say, is it normal for a man to cuddle and hug his little sister?" Derek raised his eyebrows. "It depends on how he cuddles her." "That's right." Thinking about what he had just seen, he felt so angry that he was about to explode. Seeing his expression, Derek couldn't help but laugh. William Walton rolled his eyes at him. "What are you laughing at?" "I'm laughing at you for being crazy. Nowadays, there are a lot of brothers who love sister more than parents. Even if you like to be jealous, you don't have to be jealous of Miss Green's brother, right? You are so boring." As he spoke, he put down his glass. "My grandfather knew I was with you and wanted me to take you home for dinner. How about that?" William Walton lowered his voice for a moment. "Grandfather requests, can I not go? Go, let's go. You don't need to wait for your little beauty? Aren't you afraid that she will act recklessly?" William Walton rolled his eyes. "She isn't that kind of person. But her brother, I don't know." Derek shook his head speechlessly. Are all men who fall in love this suspicious? He had seen people who were jealous, but he had never seen anyone who was jealous even of his beloved's elder brother. The two of them sat in their respective cars and arrived at Old General's villa. Old General's body was as tough as ever. Seeing that William Walton had arrived, he hastily called for the servants of his house to prepare William Walton's favorite food. The three of them sat together. The old man said, "William, it's great, since you're here, help me witness it. Today, as the old head, I have to make this damn brat, Derek, a rule. He's 29 years old and doesn't have a girlfriend yet. The next time he comes back, if he still can't bring a woman back, I'll introduce someone to him." Derek frowned. "Grandfather, why are you talking about this again?" Derek had a helpless expression. William Walton smiled. "All right, grandfather, I'll be your witness in this matter. At that time, I'll definitely help you find a good girl for him and have him honestly marry her." Derek rolled his eyes at William Walton. This brat was actually throwing stones while he was down the well. That's great. Chapter 223. Early Pregnancy. Derek choked. "You haven't even settled your life's important matters, and you still have the nerve to meddle in my business here?" William Walton laughed sinisterly. "Battalion Commander Carter, I already said it. The two of us are different now." The old general glanced at Derek with a hint of anger. "The young girlfriend of William is so good. She's beautiful, well, behaved, and you even have the face to compete with him." "Grandpa, stop talking. I get angry when I hear you speak." Old General snorted. "I'm not using my grandfather's identity to negotiate with you. I'm using my status as a major general to order you around. Do you hear me?" Derek rolled his eyes. All right, old chief, I will listen to your arrangements." The old general glared at him and snorted. Then he looked at William Walton and said, "William, how is your girlfriend?" William Walton took a sip of tea and said, "It's not bad. Thanks for your blessings. At the first glance, I know she is very good. I'm very satisfied. You, don't bully her just because you have some money. Treat her well. Do you hear me?" William Walton laughed. "Grandfather, if Laura heard that you praised her a lot, she would probably cry from happiness." "Not at all. Last time I let her suffer a lot. Did you go back and properly pacify her?" "That girl, she wasn't that petty." William Walton laughed. "On the other hand, she felt that she had caused such a great commotion for you because of herself, and she felt that she had let you down." Sigh. "Isn't that just a small matter? I heard from the servant in the backyard that this matter can't be blamed on your little girl." "Is that what Grandpa thinks too? I thought that after we leave, the mother and daughter of the Anderson family would come to talk to you." "Do you think I'm an old fool?" The people in the front yard saw with their own eyes that the two women from the Anderson family had called your little girlfriend to the backyard. "There are so many people in this courtyard. Isn't it obvious who they're looking for to target that girl? It's not like I don't know the reason the Anderson family came to find me, so I naturally know the reason why they targeted Laura. Since that girl suffered so much in my house and didn't come to blame me, I already felt that she was giving me, an old fellow, a lot of face." "Grandfather, you are too serious. I didn't have the time to say my goodbyes to you at that time because I didn't expect that the mother and daughter pair of the Anderson family wouldn't have such a bottom line. The main thing to blame is Helen Anderson. At such an age, she doesn't know how to handle the world. What good is it for her to be so aggressive? She was really spoiled by her father. Back then, her father also suffered a lot of setbacks because of the matters between your two families. His two daughters, none of them were easy to deal with. The other destroyed the feelings of others, married John Anderson, and had been arrogant for the rest of her life. Another daughter had child when she was so young. After falling in love with your second uncle, then she cheated. Her good future was ruined, and she even had a personal grudge with the Walton and Anderson families. After his daughter had gotten into trouble, he suffered a lot of blows, so he gave all his love to the eldest. He probably never would have thought that he would make the eldest look like this. That Jane Anderson even gave birth to a child? Hearing William Walton's question, the old man realized that he had talked too much. He raised his teacup and said, I can't say too much about this. The reason I'm telling you all this is because I want to tell you that the Anderson family is indeed too chaotic. You should avoid Betty Anderson and stay away from her. William Walton nodded and smiled faintly. However, he was a little suspicious in his heart. Since Jane Anderson had given birth to a child before, then what about that child? How come he had never heard of it? After finishing lunch at the old man's house, William Walton knew that the old man had the habit of taking a nap, so he took his leave. Derek followed him to the villa's entrance and asked, Do you want to go golf together in the afternoon? He replied without thinking, No. Basketball? William Walton said, Let's do it tomorrow morning. It's a rare day off for Laura. Derek frowned. Bro, are you really planning to be a good man? William Walton smirked. You speak like I wasn't a good person in the past. Derek scoffed. You were? He was charming. I am always a good man. It's just that I haven't met the right person. Derek nodded. So you're saying that you walked out of Carol Wright's shadow? When Carol Wright was mentioned, he actually let out a relieved laugh. I should have walked out long ago. It was me, always guarding the past and thinking random thoughts. I am unwilling, but also helpless. Now when I think about it, I actually felt somewhat stupid and laughable. At that time, I thought she was the right one, but once I experienced, one would understand. How could one miss the right person? Derek looked at William Walton with praise. He felt that this time, when he returned, he was different from before. So it turned out that he had grown up. Once a person experienced the baptism of emotional frustration, they would become different after they understood some things. William Walton looked at him, lips curving into a faint smile. Derek, you should get out of your feelings for Ruth as soon as possible. If you continue to stubbornly entrap yourself in the past, there would be no way for you to face the true future. Ruth is indeed a good girl. If she is still here, she wouldn't be willing to see you being unhappy because of her. Derek looked up into the sky and smiled. I'm different from you. We never separated. You are indeed different from me. Your so-called not separating is because you've never let her go in your heart, Derek. Derek patted his shoulder. William, I understand what you want to say, but it's not that easy to let go of someone you truly love. You know, it's not that we can't be together because we don't love each other. Forget it. Don't mention it. William Walton knew that Derek was also a person who used love very deeply. He nodded. I'll be going back first. You should go back and take a break as well. How about tomorrow morning's basketball or golf? It's up to you. All right. William Walton got on the car and the driver drove away. Halfway there, he told the driver to stop and get out. He took out his phone and called Daniel. Daniel, these few days, arrange for a few people to secretly help me investigate a person. Please speak, Lord Third. The second young miss of the Anderson family, Jane Anderson, she had a child when she was young. I want to know if this child is alive or dead. Where is he now? All right, Lord Third. Remember, don't let anyone else know about this. Yes. William Walton ended his speech and hung up. His gaze fell on the car window and became a bit colder. With the attitude of the Anderson family back then, when Jane Anderson gave birth to a child, the old man from the Anderson family would definitely not allow his grandson to fall into the hands of others. They must have hidden the child. If this child finds it, then it was a good idea to let the child repay the debt she owed. His lips curled up into a sneer. Second uncle, don't worry. I won't let you die in vain. Chapter 224. I feel aggrieved in my heart. After the driver got back on the car, William Walton called Laura. He had originally wanted to go back to the former mountain market to pick her up, but she said she was currently in Big City home. It turned out that after she finished eating with Nick Anderson insisted on sending her back. She couldn't allow Nick Anderson to send her to the Walton family's villa. So she followed him back to the Big City home. William Walton came to pick her up. She was washing the bedsheet and cover they used a few days ago. Seeing that she was in a good mood, William Walton was not in a good mood. Looks like you and Nick Anderson's meeting is going to be a good one. She looked at him and realized that he was jealous. She smiled. My mood has nothing to do with my brother. Who does that have to do with? Here, working here makes me happy. She patted the washing machine. Isn't it a great accomplishment to wash my dirty clothes? William Walton looked at her mischievous appearance and could not help but smile. You are truly different from others. She giggled. Why did you come back so early? Can't I spend more time with you this weekend? But your friend only came back once in a long time. It doesn't matter. As two men, how could we have anything to talk about? We made an appointment to go play ball together tomorrow morning. She could not help but smile. But the two of us don't have much to play with. There's no need to do anything with you. I feel really good when I am with you. Looking at him, he was really good at saying sweet words. Could he always be like that when he faced girls? Sometimes when she heard him teasing her, she truly felt that he was an expert amongst experts. He was so good at that. Peter Burke only stayed in Philadelphia for 3 days before he was called back to the army urgently. His life also returned to normal. Working during the day and accompanying Laura at night were the most satisfying things in his life. It was noon on Wednesday. Just as Laura returned from the outside to the office, she heard Sabrina gossiping. She said, "So, rich men can be really unreliable sometimes." When she closed the door, Sabrina heard the sound and immediately put down her phone, ending the conversation. She got up and said, "I suddenly remember that I still have some matters to attend to. I need to go to the classroom." Mark said, "Teacher Sabrina, let's go together. I need to go and announce something." "Let's go." The two of them left the office together and sat down at the table. She looked at Mia in puzzlement. "Teacher Mia, why do I feel that Teacher Sabrina is weird?" "Is she?" "Yes, she just saw my eyes and avoided them." Mia bit her lips, hesitated for a moment and said, "Teacher Green, there is something you might not know. I think you should take a look at today's news." She took out her cell phone and turned on the news today. Today's headline caught her eye. The relationship between the both of them has been frozen. The CEO of the Waltons Group and the daughter of the Andersons Group will hold an engagement ceremony in the future. The news said that after the marriage alliance between the two families had been completed, they would work together to become the leaders of Philadelphia's business circles. The marriage alliance between the two families was a strong alliance between the biggest enterprises in Philadelphia in the last few years, and it would also be the most successful business alliance. When she saw this news, a cold feeling arose in her heart. She understood that this news had nothing to do with William Walton. However, the Anderson family had implicated the old general. This matter was probably very difficult for William Walton to handle. After all, coming out to deny it was equivalent to slapping old general in the face. She watched the news in silence for a long time. Mia said worriedly, "Laura, are you all right?" Returning to reality, she looked at Mia and shook her head with a smile. "It's fine. This news is not true. It was only written by the reporters. No one from William Walton or the Anderson family has ever personally admitted to this." "It's good for you to think like that. I also think that there might have been a misunderstanding. After all, he just revealed some ambiguous feelings towards you in school last week. In my opinion, Mr. Walton should be a man with a lot of responsibilities." "I believe him." "That's good. Did you inform the department just now?" "Yes, I just came back from the school building." Mia got up. "Then I'll be the only one who hasn't notified you yet. I'll be going over first. You better not think too much by yourself." "Nope." Mia stood up and left. As she passed by other people's offices, she heard that there were people discussing the gossip. She leaned against the open door and knocked. A few teachers turned around and Mia said calmly, "Teachers, when you speak bad things of others, it's better to keep your doors shut. There are fake news. Don't believe it too much. Don't forget what happened last Tuesday." She closed the door behind her before she left. On Tuesday there was indeed a girl who was taken away by the Mr. Walton because she scolded Laura in front of him. 2 hours later, the student came back and quit school. Everyone in the office looked at each other without saying anything. After all, everyone knew that Mia and her relationship was not bad. They were afraid that Mia would tell Laura. William Walton called her. She quickly picked up the phone and put it by her ear. "Hello." "Laura, why are you answering the phone so quickly today?" "Of course not." You aren't waiting for me to call you, are you?" William Walton said with a mischievous smile. She pursed her lips warmly. "No." "Why does your voice sound so depressing? Did you see the news?" "The news was right there, and it caused quite a sensation in our school. It would be hard for me to not see it," she teased warmly. "I wonder what orders the bridegroom of the Anderson family wants to give me by calling me." "Why it sounds so disgusting, that name," William Walton smirked. "It still smells of acetic acid." "William Walton, don't be so mischievous with me," she said in a depressed voice. "In the future, don't talk about how I attract bees and butterflies anymore. I think Battalion Commander Carter is right. You are the one who attracts bees and butterflies." "How wrong I am. Today's news has nothing to do with me." "I know that this has nothing to do with you. But William Walton, I feel especially wronged. Last Friday, why were you so close with me in school, saying that you would support me? But this week, you had your wedding. Do you know my current position in school, how difficult it is? I don't care what others say about me, but I feel very sad that you got slapped in the face so quickly." When William Walton heard her words, besides the pain in his heart, he was also secretly happy in his heart. He felt sorry for him because he had wronged her. He secretly rejoiced because she would tell him her hardships. For him, it was her growing dependence on him. Chapter 225, As Long as You Believe in Me. William Walton said seriously, "Regarding the news, I have already sent people to take care of it. Don't worry. I know that you are feeling terrible right now, but I will not let you feel wronged. She frowned. This matter, if someone went to Old General to verify this with him, the Old General wouldn't be able to clear it up. After all, he owed the Anderson family." If you come forward to clarify things, wouldn't that be slapping his face? Don't worry, the editor of the Morning Star newspaper did not confirm this matter. This means that her news is false, and she knows what responsibility it entails. But if someone goes to verify this, if the mother and daughter of the Anderson family speak nonsense with the reporters, I'm afraid that the old general will be implicated. After all, the old general has indeed informed you about it before. He laughed. She always considered other people's positions first. You don't have to worry about him. Since they can burn demonic fire, I have a way to extinguish it. In short, as long as you believe me, there's nothing that I can't solve. Do you understand? Upon hearing his words, Laura fell silent for a moment before nodding her head. I understand. Also, you don't have to worry about what happens in school. Just leave it to me. The school is fine, so you don't have to worry about it. I was just grumbling. Actually, I'm already used to some things. Just let them say what they want. William Walton did not say anything else but said, "Give me half an hour." He hung up. She stared at her phone in bewilderment for a moment. Half an hour? What could he do in half an hour? Forget it, it didn't matter to him anymore. After all, he already had a lot of tricks up his sleeves. When it was almost 11:30, Mark returned first. He sat on his desk and had just finished drinking a cup of water. Mia and Sabrina ran back together all the way back. Pushing open the door, Sabrina said while gasping for breath, "Heavens, oh my God, Teacher Green." Laura turned to look at her. "Teacher Sabrina, what's wrong? You are so tired." She shifted her gaze onto Mia's face. "Teacher Mia, why are you so flustered?" Mia said. "Teacher Sabrina and I were downstairs just now and saw Lord Third. William Walton came to school? Why would he come to school at this time?" As Sabrina said this, she also made a circle around herself with his hands. The third master's hands are also holding on to a large bunch of blue roses. She stood up and walked towards the office door. She did not see William Walton, but it was time to get off work. At the entrance of every office in the corridor, there were already many heads watching the show. She took a step forward. Just as she was about to go downstairs to take a look, William Walton turned around. He held a bunch of blue roses in his arms and ignored everyone's gazes as he walked straight towards her. She stood by the door, staring into his face, watching him approach. He held out the flower to her with a low voice, but everyone in the surrounding offices should have heard his words. "Did the fake news today scare you? I'm here to calm you down. Don't be angered by the gossip reporter's nonsense. I've experienced this kind of thing too many times, and it's no longer important to me. Don't take it to heart, Was it really appropriate for him to appear at this time? However, whether it was appropriate or not, her heart was beating really fast. "I didn't take it seriously." "That's good. Let's go and have lunch together." William Walton brought Laura out of the school, and the two of them went to the restaurant to eat. While eating, she looked at him and said absent-mindedly, "Is it appropriate for you to come to our school today?" "Why not? If the scandal between you and Betty Anderson is not resolved in the future, wouldn't it be unnecessary of you to come here today?" William Walton smirked. "Didn't I tell you? Believe me, a small thing like this means nothing to me." That's right, who was William Walton? He was the strongest man in the entire Philadelphia. When she thought of this, she couldn't help but feel a little surprised. Since when did she worship a man like this? When she was young, in her world, the good men were Earl and his father. When she grew up, after seeing so many people being cold-blooded, she lost her confidence in men. In her eyes, there were too many men to trust. Available. It was unknown when this thought had changed again. It had been a long time since she had worshipped anyone. "I like today's flowers very much." William Walton looked at her as the corner of his mouth slightly rose. "If this flower was gifted to me by someone else, would you still like it?" She lowered her eyes and smiled shyly. "Not necessarily." William Walton was displeased. "This is not the answer I want to hear." She smiled warmly and looked at him with mischievous eyes. "Then just take it as if I won't do it." "Woman, can't you give me some candy? You gave me a fright today. Why should I give you sugar?" She purposely said those words out of her mind. William Walton looked at her with a doting smile. He really couldn't do anything about her. "The next time you feel uncomfortable and wronged, you have to tell me. Don't keep it buried in your heart. The good thing about having someone to walk beside you is that this person can share your happiness and sorrow, She looked at him with a gentle smile as she pursed her lips. William Walton sent her back to school after the meal. He was going to take her to the office, but she wouldn't let him. His appearance today had created quite a sensation. It seemed like no one in the school dared to gossip behind her back. That was enough. She got out at the school gate and strolled into the campus. Halfway through her journey, her phone rang. Originally, she thought that it was William Walton, but in the end, she took out his phone and realized that it was Earl. She picked up the phone, and her mood was already very good. "Hello, Earl," Earl said in a somewhat heavy voice. "Laura, come to your school's entrance for a moment." "Now?" "Yes, I'm in front of your school." "Okay." After hanging up, she turned around and ran back to the school gate. Seeing that she had come out, Earl rolled down the window and called out to her with his head lowered. She walked to Earl's car, opened the door and got in and sat in the front passenger seat. Earl asked, How are you so fast? She laughed and said, It's because you come in time. I just came back, so I didn't go far. Earl, why have you come here at this time? My mom saw the news and was worried about you, so I had to come over to see you now to confirm your condition. Are you all right? Earl looked at her with worry. Earl, I'm fine. That's fake news. Are you sure? I'm sure. She nodded and smiled at him. Not far away, behind a stand of holly bushes beside the school's entrance, a camera pointed at the two people in the car and pressed the shutter button.